to Don't Look Under the Internet, a place of fear, death, mystery,
and fun.
But not that much fun.
But a little fun. Sometimes we talk about chicken, but Demon Man does have a point. We mostly talk about internet mysteries, ARGs, and all sorts of spooks.
And other times we make funnies, while also talking about Lovecraft, cryptids, and the occult.
But not serial killers. That dead horse has been beaten to a pulp. We do, however, sacrifice an orphan to the internet after every episode.
But mostly, we laugh.
Of evil. We laugh laughs of evil.
I have never laughed evilly. It's not my nature. I don't think I can.
Listen to the podcast. Appease our masters.
My fiance?
Yeah, his fiance?
No, just fuck it. I'm gonna go collect some coagulated squirrel blood to feed my children later. Oh, also, don't forget, stay paranoid.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 12 of Unethical Podcast.
Little Miss Unethical.
Joining us again today is Rick Getz from Drunksplain Podcast. And today we are going to dive into the JonBenet Ramsey Coverup. Welcome to Unethical Podcast.
Ladies and these two dicks, welcome to another conspiracy theory episode. Today is the Little Miss Unethical Pageant Special. Welcome, listeners. Thank you all for being here today to support our contestants. Stay tuned to find out who will be crowned the first Little Miss Unethical. Let me first introduce Christy Jansen, former Miss Straya winner, not to be confused with Miss Australia, which is basically the same thing, only she had to funnel beers and wear boardies instead of bikinis. Christy will be assisting with our pageant today.
Thanks for having me.
I'm your host, Mr. Tally Hall. Let's begin the grand march of our lovely contestants. Contestant number 1, Celeste Brown. Celeste has blue hair and green eyes. She enjoys speeding, owls, and the mountains.
Hi, hello, hi.
Contestant number 2, Rick Getz. Rick has blonde hair and blue eyes. He enjoys drinking, working, and camping.
I don't have to beat out everyone, but I do have to beat out the other Richard.
Contestant number 3, Richard Stoodle. Richard has no hair and hazel eyes. He enjoys comedy, board games, and being a jackass.
Thanks for having me.
We will start with our first question. What is the day after Christmas like for you and your family?
I remember as a kid, it was the day we got to like sit down and play with all our toys and everything. It was like a free day. As an adult, it's now become like, let's go get cheap televisions, but we don't really do it as much as we used to, but it's a Boxing Day, go shopping kind of thing.
First, we wake up and we go bother the minimum wage Starbucks employee. And then we go return the baby Jesus that we stole on Christmas Eve. And then...
Where do you get the baby Jesus from? Like 6 towns over?
From the local nativity scene.
How big of a baby Jesus is it? Is it like put it in a stroller big, or is it like...
It's like bigger than an actual baby. It's like about the size of like a Cocker Spaniel. Okay, oh, sorry. We also go ice skating in the afternoon.
Sounds like a good way to break an ankle.
That's what you do. You go to the skating rink and you find the biggest guy in the yard and you kick him in the ankle with your skate. And that's how you do Boxing Day right.
So first off, I have never heard of the term Boxing Day.
Really?
So I guess I'm uncultured.
Is that a Canadian thing? Are we learning something new here?
But
So it originated in UK. The name comes from you use the day after Christmas to box up gifts and give them to the poor.
what is the 26th of December? Because I don't remember it, which makes me think that it's mostly a recovery day for my family because we all just drink on the 25th.
Sounds like the good old family gathering we would all expect. Well, for the Ramsey family in 1996, the day after Christmas was a lot less routine that year.
Patsy Ramsey, wife of John Ramsey and former pageantry participant herself, woke around 5 a.m. to find a ransom note near the top of the staircase at the back of their opulent home. She then frantically ran about the house to alert her husband of the ordeal and to check on her 2 children. 9-year-old Burke was located in his bedroom. However, 6-year-old Little Miss Pageant winner JonBenet was nowhere to be found. Panic struck, Patsy phoned police to alert them of a kidnapping per the ransom note. She gave dispatch her address, then stated, "There's a note here and our daughter is gone. Hurry, please."
The ransom note found at the top of the stairs read, "Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign fraction. We do not respect your business, we do respect your business, but not the country it serves. At this time, we have your daughter in our possession. She is safe and unharmed. And if you want to see her in 1997, you must follow our instructions to the letter. You will withdraw $118,000 from your account. $100,000 will be in $100 bills and the remaining $18,000 in $20 bills. Make sure you bring an adequate size attaché to the bank when you get home. You will put the money in a brown paper bag. I will call you between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow to instruct you on delivery. The delivery will be exhausting, so I advise you be rested. If we monitor you getting the money early, we might call you early to arrange an earlier delivery of the money and hence an earlier delivery pickup of your daughter. Any deviation of my instructions will result in the immediate execution of your daughter. You will also be denied her remains for proper burial. The 2 gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you. So I advise you not provoke them. Speaking to anyone about your situation, such as police, FBI, etc., will result in your daughter being beheaded. If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies. If you alert bank authorities, she dies. If the money is in any way marked or tampered with, she dies. You will be scanned for electronic devices, and if any are found, she dies. You can try to deceive us, but be warned that we are familiar with law enforcement countermeasures and tactics. You stand a 99% chance of killing your daughter. If you try to outsmart us, follow our instructions, and you stand a 100% chance of getting her back. You and your family are under constant scrutiny as well as authorities. Don't try to grow a brain, John. You are not the only fat cat around, so don't think that killing will be difficult. Don't underestimate us, John. Use that good Southern common sense of yours. It's up to you now, John. Victory! SBTC.
No, the piece that immediately caught my attention was, if we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies.
For me, it was the adequately sized attaché.
And make sure you're well rested. Make sure you're well rested because it's going to be very hard on you. So make sure you can.
Yeah. $118,000. Isn't that like such a random number? Like, wouldn't you just be like $1 million or, it's such a random number. Why 118?
Yeah. Like a middle class family could put together $118,000 if they had to. A middle class family could do that. These guys are fucking loaded.
No, this guy just wanted to pay his mortgage. He's like, that's all I need. I just need the second half of my mortgage.
Well, were there any other ransoms during the time that asked for like such a weird amount? Because I feel like if people are trying to ask for a ransom, now I'm pretty big into listening to negotiation audiobooks, and one that I listened to is by Chris Voss, who is a former FBI negotiator. And one thing that he said is that people often come up with very specific numbers based on other things.
It was his Christmas bonus that year. It was John's Christmas bonus amount that year.
Yes.
So that's so specific that the person who did that knew how much money he made as a Christmas bonus. Or did he tell everyone? I know that at a Christmas party, he was like, 118K, what's up? He's high-fiving everyone he knows.
If I had to guess, he was making around $500,000 a year. That would be my guess, based off of his bonus, right? They call it a Christmas bonus. It really is a year-end bonus because he reached his achievements that are required by executive level employees. Just giving like a little insight from the business side of things. So if I had to guess he was earning $500,000, it doesn't really make sense to only ask for $118,000.
No, because I mean, he was not even, correct me if I'm wrong, he was not a young man, right? He was.
No, not at all.
Yeah, so he'd been working for a long time. So he would have a fat savings.
Oh, yeah, they're loaded.
Account.
These people are loaded.
It's definitely an educated person, right? Because you have every time that he or she says she dies, it's a comma, she dies, comma, she dies. People who are writing ransom notes they're impulsive, they're irrational, they're not worried about the grammatical writings. Whoever wrote this was thinking about it.
Oh, they thought about it. They thought about it long enough to write 3 pages. If it was someone just on the fly doing it, it'd be like, give me this much money, meet me there, wait for a phone call. It'd be like 5 sentences. This is 3 pages. That's nuts. Someone sat down and thought about it for sure.
Next question. If an investigation began in your home due to your child having gone missing, would you immediately start inviting your neighbors and friends over for emotional support?
Am I inviting over? If my daughter's missing, am I inviting over all my friends? Maybe to get a search party going, but like not to just have like a bunch of people over hanging out, unless you're trying to sully up the crime scene. Bum, bum, bum.
No, I absolutely would not invite anyone over for moral support. I would, however, invite them over for cigars and cocktails.
That's every day, though. We could do that any day. You know, we have to do that every day. Daughter goes missing or not, we're having cocktails and cigars. I understand that.
Plan a vacation, maybe. You know, babysitting costs just got cut in half. Yeah. Oh, I'd go to Mexico, the side that's shitty now. That's where I'd go.
Wait, which side is shitty now?
The middle. Everything that's not on a resort. I'd get real, genuine jungle tacos.
Jungle tacos?
Yes.
What's in them?
Monkey brains.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that like...
I ate monkey brains when I was in Mexico. There was a paella with monkey brain. Monkey brain? It was good. Yeah, it was good.
Okay, was it actually monkey brain, or they just like see a tourist and go like, "You're eating monkey brains, $5 more now, thank you."
No, it was like, because like we went off the resort on like this jungle tour, and in the middle of this jungle, there's literally just this like hut. And it's this woman sitting around like a fucking cauldron in the middle with like a fire under it, making paella. Nice. And like the tourists can come in and get food from her if they want to. And she has 2 cauldrons, right? She's got like vegetarian paella, and then she's got monkey brain paella, and you can choose whichever one you want. And I was like, fuck yeah.
And there's no option in the middle, like not fucked up monkey
like
brain
chicken.
No.
Chicken?
I would think monkey brain is harder to get than raising chickens.
What about monkey arm? Like, why do we have to eat the brain? Like, if we're having a monkey, we got his arm too, you know?
And I can't imagine the brain would be very big, right?
I assume because paella, remember, they're giving this to the tourist for like basically donation. So a paella is basically just like a casserole of whatever the fuck is left over. It's just like shit that they haven't used that they throw into a pot to make a paella, and then the tourists can pay whatever they want for it, and probably because they use the rest of the animal for
my wife calls that a giblot, when we get all the stuff from the fridge and just jam it into like a pan and fry it all up. It's she calls it, I don't know what French version of that. It's a giblette. So paella is a giblette.
I'm like, we better be lighting something up and smoking it if you're gonna call it that.
A jablunt?
I hope when she listens
It's
to
a
this,
French term for
when
blunt.
she listens to this, she's gonna know, because I always make fun of giblette. It's a funny word, giblette.
So I think I'm a bad person to ask this, because if it were me, I would immediately start trying to like do my own investigation and go find this person. So I would not be around.
Settle down,
Yeah,
Liam.
you would be the
Neeson.
first.
That would be
will
me.
find
I would
you.
not rely on other people. I would see what I can do online. Yeah, I would see what I could find myself.
That's fascinating. Patsy did exactly that. Brunch mimosas. Am I right?
I guess if you're a rich Karen, fuck, I guess so. Like,
What was the year?
1996.
96.
Yeah, JonBenet would have been a year older than me to this day if she were still alive.
I was born in 96.
yeah.
Somebody get this man a juice box.
Baby boy.
Minute Maid.
Okay.
Anyway.
Not only did she invite everyone and their mum over during the search for JonBenet, police allowed the entry and exit of many people over the course of several hours. When police and detectives first searched the home, they were unable to substantiate that the home was a crime scene, meaning no signs of ransacking nor a break-in were found. Boulder, Colorado PD later stated that the department was short-staffed that day due to holiday, and most of the force had 0 homicide cases in their backgrounds. After lead detectives had searched the home, Detective Linda Arndt was left with the Ramseys and the other gatherers. At this time, Patsy and her pals cleaned up the kitchen where the killer allegedly sat and wrote the ransom note. Mediocre Detective Linda noticed a heightened agitation in the father, John Ramsey, and instructed him and neighbour Fleet White to search the house for anything that was out of place or missing. With little to go on, Detective Arndt examines the ransom note, which appeared to be the only piece of evidence around. This is when John located JonBenet's deceased body in a semi-hidden wine cellar. She was found clothed in a pink shirt and black pants, with duct tape over her mouth, and her body was wrapped in a white blanket. Head was visible and brutally wounded. The cause of death was strangulation with a shoelace and garrote made from Patsy's broken paintbrush. John stated he ripped off the duct tape before scooping his lifeless daughter up in his arms and carrying her to the living room to display her body in front of the Christmas tree for all guests and detectives to see. Patsy then collapsed over JonBenet, wailing in agony, rocking the murdered child back and forth in her arms, thus ruining all forensic evidence that could ever have led to the actual killer.
I just have a real quick question. The detective who is there to investigate hung out in the kitchen doing essentially nothing and sent the father and some fucking guy to go and do the investigating, the actual job of the police.
Lead detectives actually searched the house prior and no body was found anywhere. They never looked in that wine cellar. They never looked in that wine cellar because it was like one of those wooden doors that slid rather than opened.
Ours looks like a bookshelf, so it's very hidden. If you don't know it's there, you would never open it.
Yeah, if you got the cops in your house though looking around, you could tell them there's a wine cellar downstairs. Like you would think of, would you? Like that's a place that would be hidden to someone if you didn't know.
If you wanted them to find it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, if you wanted them to find it, sure.
But the detective sent John and some fucking guy, not John and a cop.
His neighbor Fleet White, where the family was at the night before.
I'd like to know the timeline between them supposedly finding the note, inviting the people over, and then finding the body. Like, how many days?
Several hours from like 8 a.m. to 5
Yeah,
p.m.
Patsy found the ransom note at about 5 a.m.
So wait, like 8 a.m. note. So, but there's a note, invites people over, body found.
She was found in the evening, and the body.
Where
was found at 5
where
p.m.
were they? Where were they all morning? If they find it at
In
5
the
a.m.
kitchen.
having mimosas and brunch.
So the note was found in the house. They were in the house. What kind of clue fucking shit is this?
Yeah.
Are they trying to pin it on their neighbors?
Everyone was the suspect.
They did at one point, yes.
They did try that?
Yes, but never themselves. Patsy never said it was John, and John never said it was Patsy, but they said it was all sorts of other people. She said JonBenet didn't do this. I didn't do that, or John Ramsey, she calls him in the investigation, didn't do this. I didn't do this. We don't have a clue who had a thing to do with it.
We don't have
quote
a
unquote.
clue who had a thing to do with it. That is what we call a qualifying statement, where you say the same thing twice to make it seem like if it's longer, you're telling the truth. That makes me think she's lying. That doesn't mean whether or not she is telling the truth or not, but that's a very common. I love how Celeste just gets wide-eyed, like, holy shit, why did he just say that? But that's a very common.
Private Dick is on the case.
I love this guy.
Yeah, so that's called a qualifying statement. It's so Bill Clinton did the same thing in his speech about Monica Lewinsky when he said, "No, I never told anyone to say that." So no, never is a very common qualifying statement. So Patsy just did the same thing, but in a different way. So when people say the same thing twice, it's because they're trying to elongate their statement to make it seem like if I say more, I'm not lying.
Side note, the original Unsolved Mysteries had been airing every week for nearly 10 years at this point. We all know to preserve the crime scene.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, for sure. So do they, Kate? We knew this already. They knew this. They knew not to fucking get everyone involved if they wanted this to be serious. So let's just take that. That's like an old thing. It's not like Unsolved Mysteries for sure, but I mean, we all knew that before Unsolved. Like maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong, but did they know for?
But 10 years is
for sure.
It was airing for 10 years at this point.
Yeah, and everyone watched it. It's not like nobody watched fucking Unsolved Mysteries. Probably one of the most well-watched shows during that time, I would imagine. I know my whole family watched it every week, right?
Yep.
So they know for a
I watched it with my mom all the time.
Do they know for a fact that ransom note was written in the kitchen? Like they know that it was written there or wasn't brought with them? How do they know that? Do you know how they know that?
Okay. So the ink was matched to a pen found in the home, and the parchment was found in a notepad also located in the home.
Okay, so they know that. They probably know it right away. Like they knew that the day they saw the note. It was written here.
One word crossed out throughout the entire thing, and it is where they talk about if you get the money earlier, you will get an earlier pickup. But right before pickup, they have delivery crossed out. And what I'm thinking is, if it's someone who's involved in it, but they're close to the family, and you're writing it out and you're saying there's going to be a delivery, you then realize, well, shit, we can't deliver her because we need to be there for it. So let's make it a pickup. Why would you change those words if you're someone ransoming them out? It doesn't matter if you change it later. I mean, you're already saying, hey, if you get the money early, I'm going to get you earlier. You can change whatever you want.
Did at any point, do we know? Because I find it highly doubtful that they wouldn't recognize that it came from their own journal or their own pen or whatever. I just find that unlikely. Did they bring it up at any point that it was obviously written here?
They never offered information at all.
Son of a bitch.
They were tight-lipped and stayed in separate rooms from each other so that like they wouldn't like give off vibes. John and Patsy stayed in separate rooms from each other. Burke stayed in his room the entire time.
Made to stay in his bedroom for the entire time.
Nobody consoled their fucking child at any.
Nope.
That's nice. That's super nice of them.
Play Sega Genesis. Play your Sega Genesis. Mommy and Daddy have things to do.
Was that 1996?
It was probably out before that because I was playing it in 96 for sure. I loved those things.
Yeah, maybe.
Big fat, like I had like a sensory thing, so I loved holding those like big fat game consoles.
So my other question is, when they were cleaning up the house, were the cops there watching them clean the house? Like, oh, make me a sandwich too. I got some investigating to do.
Yep, police allowed the entry and exit of all neighbors and friends.
Yeah, so they watched. Like, this is what I'm trying to get at with the Unsolved Mysteries thing. The cops, whether they had Unsolved Mysteries or not, know not to clean up a fucking site. You morons! This bothers me so much that the cops were there. I knew they cleaned up, but I didn't know the cops were around, like watching them do it and being like, "Go." Good.
It was Linda Arndt that was like left to like clean up the shit. Yeah. So she was just doing like the minor detail work.
And then they find her, bring her, and display her in front of the Christmas tree. What the fuck is going on?
To me, I think about that in the same way that it's like, yeah, acting. The elongation of a sentence is the same way of like you're going to try and draw out that event.
Next question. If your child was murdered, would you cooperate with police to help catch the killer?
Absolute fucking lootly. I'd help every person who said I will help you, and I would be like, sure, let's cooperate. I'd cooperate with anyone willing to help me, including the police. First and foremost, the police. Anybody who wouldn't probably has something to do with it.
No. Yeah, exactly. Get my kid back. Or I guess he's already dead at this point. Find out who killed my kid and then call me when they are in prison. If you ask me to go to trial, I will kick you in the dick.
So trying to get into the mind of John Ramsey, a guy who's probably 40 years old, making $500,000 a year at
40?
least.
His company just a couple days before made $1 billion. They finally got through $1 billion. I don't think he was making $500,000. I think he was making more than that. But just so you know, he was super rich, like loaded. They just made $1 billion at their company.
Sure. But I'm just thinking like, I'm sure he makes money other ways, but salary wise, what he was getting off of that. So yeah, let's just say, millionaire, making a whole bunch of money. My guess is the way that he responds is if he's innocent, very angry, very hostile with the police. How dare you don't know something? You should know something. Because someone has money. They're not going to be cooperative. They're going to want to be cooperative to begin with, but it's going to continuously get heightened. And he's going to be very combative, but at the same time, someone who's guilty is going to do the same thing. So I feel like it's kind of hard to judge. Like he has one of those weird backgrounds and personalities that I feel like he would just argue with the police.
I agree, but I also feel that, again, because he's loaded and shit, 118 grand is literally fucking nothing to this man. I think he would not call the cops. He would follow the thing to the letter. Because what the fuck else would he possibly care about at this point besides getting her back? I think he just flat out follow the instructions.
Ridiculous.
So I want to advertise this for everybody. You should always call the cops. Okay. Even if you have the money, call the cops because people are irrational. And what you want is a professional negotiator in there. So God forbid anyone ever listens to this and their child gets kidnapped, call the cops. Even if you have the money, just get ready to pay it.
Yeah. But if the instructions, like if I got this letter and the instructions specifically said, I'm going to kill him if you call the police, I'm not calling the police. I'm not doing
That's
it.
the first thing.
No way, dude.
See, I still would.
Yeah, but you don't have kids. Do you have a kid?
But even if I had kids, the first thing you do is call the cops. Because the thing that you have to understand is all people are irrational. All of us in here, every single person is irrational by default. So I can't assume that if I give them the money that my child's still alive. So the first thing I would do is call the police to make sure that I get someone on my side that is thinking through it. Because you have the whole force of whoever you bring in to think.
Even if
I
don't think he's still alive, though, even if I gave them all the money and then I found out they'd already killed him, I'm not going to miss the money. But if I called the cops and found out he's dead, you bet your ass I'm going to fucking blame myself till I die.
So I'm thinking of it differently. I'm not thinking the child is already dead. I'm thinking if I don't get the police involved and I negotiate it in the wrong way and I give them the money in the wrong way, the child will die after the fact. But if the police are involved and there's a proper negotiator involved, they can actually talk the person down and make sure that the child is given. Because if it's someone who is inexperienced or doesn't know how to do it or emotional, because if it's your child, you will be emotional. If you just give them the money and walk away, you may never see your child again. If someone who is trained how to do some sort of negotiation is there, you may get out of it properly. Now, it all depends on who is on the other end and what their actual motive is, but
yeah, I was going to say, you're saying, Mr. Getz, that everyone in this room right now is irrational, and you're putting the most rational argument towards what you're saying. So, like, if you had kids, you're going to be irrational and listen to the notes so they don't die. You don't want your kids to die. Yeah. You're not going to go like, my rational brain says this because I'm irrational. What you're saying is like an oxymoron. It doesn't make sense what you said.
This goes back to the idea of like the psychopathy theory, right? Like where we are all inbred of psychopaths and we don't actually think rationally, but our baseline makes us think that we are rational. So not to do a call back to the last episode I was in.
Okay, but so Richard, I want to know, like, would you, if the note said, I will kill your child if you call the cops, will you call the cops?
I probably, okay, here's the simple answer. Probably not if I had the money. If I didn't have the money, I'd have to call the cops. And $118,000, I'm sorry, I don't know if I could pull that together, but there'd be a lot of questions anyway. And it would take me a couple days. I might as well call the cops. So probably I would call the cops. That's the way I would think about it. It's like, if I had the money, I'd just go get it. Boom. Why am I calling the cops?
Can I throw in a reminder real quick?
Yeah.
They said that a phone call, the ransom note said a phone call was supposed to take place between 8 and 10 a.m. that day.
Yeah.
The phone call never happened.
But they'd already called the cops.
Exactly.
Why would the kidnappers, you've already blatantly disobeyed their instructions. Why the fuck would they call you if this was real? Yes.
Let me throw a loop into this. If you have a friend who is a cop and you can call them personally, do you loop them in?
No.
Yes.
I would as well. That's where I would start. So I have a very good friend who's a cop, and I would call him and I would say, this is the situation. And that's how I would start. And then I would let it grow to the level that it grew to.
Okay, well, if I had direct access to that much money instantly, I would make sure that that money was ready to go and all that stuff was taken care of. And then I would involve the police. But I wouldn't call the cops and wait around for them to fucking get to my house because it's a Christmas holiday, right? People are fucking around. Like they're doing their own thing with their families. For me, I would have that money ready to go instantly. Then I'd call the cops and be like, look, this is happening. The money's ready to go. This is what we need to do. This is what I'm doing. So I would have that extra backup there, but I also wouldn't be sitting around on my ass waiting for someone to come and help me.
Wowee.
Mere hours after finding his daughter murdered in their home, John trotted off to his office where investigators followed to question him further. They overheard John speaking on the phone regarding travel plans. Detectives explained to John that he and his family must stay in Boulder while they continue their investigation. The seemingly callous parents agreed to stick around. However, both John and Patsy immediately sought legal counsel, each hired separate lawyers, and refused to speak to police on their own volition. Friends, neighbours, and relatives of the Ramseys suddenly stopped speaking to police as well. A hasty funeral was planned, and poor little JonBenet was buried on the 31st of December in 1996, just mere 5 days after her body was found.
Why call the police? Why bother? I guess because you have to. Because if you don't call the police, then that's probably a crime. I have no idea.
I don't know. Is it a crime that if you don't call them if you're being threatened?
No, I think it's a crime if you find your little girl's body
and then don't call.
The
yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Where's your kid? Oh, she was dead, so we just buried her.
Sorry, I was supposed to tell you guys. Oops, my bad.
Yeah, sorry.
My bad. I like how they lawyered up with different lawyers. That's kind of fucking interesting, right?
Or if one lawyer, I wonder if the lawyer for him was from his company and she had to have a personal lawyer.
This is the most suspect part to me, is like, it's your kid and you didn't do anything wrong and you want to help. Why the fuck are you getting your lawyer involved and then not talking at all? Like, it's messed up.
I will say, for the U.S. justice system, even if you're not guilty, you should always have a lawyer.
They got lawyers and then never talked. Didn't even put statements out through their lawyer, which that's the part that I'm like, that's super suspect. Like, if you're going to get lawyers right away, sure, but at least you guys are going to try and help. But if you guys are just shutting up, that's what a guilty person does to get off of murder or whatever.
Or
right?
or a grieving person. That's what a grieving person does, because it's too hard to face. You can't just flat out say, they're doing this because they have something to hide, is because you can always fall back on, well, everyone grieves differently. It's like a safety net in this situation for grieving parents, and especially guilty parents, is, well, everyone grieves in their own way.
I was grieving so hard that I just decided to let this investigation go to shit. That's how I grieve. I'm not going to let anybody investigate it properly. I grieve differently. It's a stupid excuse. If that's what their excuse was, like, come on.
I don't know if Jack was murdered, if I would really have it in me. Because at that point, my child's already gone. He's the only thing in the world that I cared about. Why? I don't have the energy to relive it every goddamn day.
It's been 25 years. It's been 25
I think
years.
it's different though. You're not a nuclear millionaire family in 1996 America.
I guess.
Like, I think it's just like perspective wise, they don't give a shit about anyone except themselves, even their own children. I mean, hell, they put their child into beauty pageants. They don't care about her.
No, the mom was a beauty pageant winner, so she was like, time to relive the youth.
Yeah, it's like a doll.
I'm so obsessed with that ransom note.
We know. We've seen you sitting there analyzing it since we started.
Do you ever watch the show Sherlock?
I have seen it multiple times. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going into your mind palace right now and just figuring it out.
You joke. It works quite well.
Someone get this man a Watson.
Next question. Are you at all squeamish or unable to handle graphic details of an autopsy report?
No, I actually kind of find it very fascinating. So it's actually a weird thing I just do on my own. Just look at autopsy reports of weird cases. Yeah.
Speaking of doing things on my own, never in my adult life had I had an orgasm until I saw the autopsy report of Kobe Bryant.
Kobe.
Was he better in half? Did he look better in half than he did as a whole?
He was
person,
missing a bunch of parts.
So many parts.
No brain.
He
brain
had
gone.
charring and slippage.
Listen, we just drink on our podcast. We don't get this unethical. I mean, we say dumb things, but wow, that Kobe comment really threw me for a loop. So good for you.
Why are you encouraging her?
No, I'm saying I don't normally break.
That's why we have guests. We bring you guys on so we can do this to people.
Oh, yeah. I would be fine with the autopsy report if it were not my own child. Well,
I'm about to read it to you, so.
Great, because that was your warning.
The autopsy of JonBenet showed that she was still alive after the traumatic blow to the head by a blunt object. However, likely unconscious. The death ruling was homicide by asphyxiation. There was no semen located on scene nor on the body. However, a blood mixture was found on the victim's underwear, which matched JonBenet's blood and an unidentified male's blood. Due to old and or healing vaginal wounds found, sexual assault could not be ruled out of the autopsy report. The most significant clue was the undigested pineapple chunks in her stomach. This means that she ate the pineapple just before her death. No one in the Ramsey family can recall JonBenet being given pineapple that night, but a bowl of pineapple was on the table the day police inspected the home. However, John allegedly brought her straight to bed after the neighbour's party around 9:30 p.m. Christmas Day, as they stated she was already fast asleep upon arriving home. This leads to the theory that whoever the killer was woke her from her bed, led her downstairs for a snack, and then ultimately her death. Suspicious marks were also found on JonBenet's back and face that resemble a stun gun. Some say it could be from a toy train track piece from Burke's train set found in the home at the time of the murder.
Tell me more about the neighbor's Christmas party.
Okay.
What do we got there?
Christmas Day, so December 25th, 1996. The Ramseys, John, Patsy, Burke, and JonBenet went to their neighbor's house, the Fleet and whatever his wife's name's White. So they were there from about 4:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. that day. And there were no suspicious, nothing noted from the neighbors on like something they do every year.
But it was at a neighbor's house. Did all of the Bennett family leave at the same time? Do we know that?
They all arrived home together. John was holding JonBenet. Patsy put Burke to bed. And John put JonBenet to bed, who was already, they say, asleep.
So the theory is that somebody coaxed her into the basement with pineapple.
There was a bowl in the kitchen, on the kitchen table, of pineapple chunks, but they don't know at what stage she ate them because, like John said, he put her straight to bed. She was already asleep, but then at the autopsy, the undigested pineapple was found in her stomach and the bowl was on the kitchen table.
How do they have, if these girls were cleaning up, how's there a fucking bowl still left out? They cleaned up everything but the fucking bowl?
It was just sitting there the whole day. So like body cam, or not body cam, but I think it was just like handheld cameras at that point. But obviously an investigator had one and you see it like when he's zooming the table.
Okay, but that kind of lines up. Like, I don't know what kind of patriarch John is, but I mean, John says he put JonBenet to bed and then he went to bed or whatever. But his DNA wasn't found on that bowl. So, I mean, it's not, I mean, I'm not married, but like, I could totally see me being the kind of mom that's like, you know what? Come on, kiddos. Like, let's go have a snack together while, like, just don't tell your dad, like, shh, kind of thing. We'll go have a snack together. Like, I mean, that doesn't, you know, unless if Patsy confirmed it, I guess. I don't know. That doesn't
Fruits take 20 to 40 minutes to digest, by the way.
What does?
If anyone's curious. Fruit takes 20 to 40 minutes to digest, depending on the fruit.
I was happier before I knew that.
Yeah.
So that now you have to think about the timeline, right? So I'm going to say within 30 minutes. She ate the pineapple within 30 minutes, was killed.
That is what autopsy or the ME medical examiner said also.
I'm just saying, if my child is missing, the first thing I do is check the entire house. I don't give a shit if it's the wine cellar. I don't care if it's the attic. I check everywhere. So to me, the family did it, right? The question is who? All I'm saying is strangulation is a very male murder-esque type of way to do it.
It's also a very good way
that
to
me
cover
tells
it
me
up.
it's the father.
Well, I mean, yes, the scene looks inherently sexual. The scene, the act of strangulation in and of itself is an incredibly sexual method of murdering somebody.
Yeah, and there's blood in the underwear and stuff.
Yeah, there was blood in the underwear. Whether or not
choking is also how you get a kid to stop crying.
There are other ways. Again,
but I
smothering.
mean, you know what I'm saying.
Shaking.
Like, why won't you stop
with a
crying?
garrote though? With a shoelace and a garrote?
Yeah, it's like dad going and like, well, I'm making a big scene about getting the belt to spank them, you know? Like if they're actually want to spank you, they're going to just spank you with their hand. Yeah. Going and getting the belt is the scene. What is she like taking a shoelace and going like, if you don't stop crying, she's ripping it around her paintbrush? Yeah. Like what?
Yeah, it's it could be a way to shut your kid up, but I mean, I figure like there's a lot more. That's measured. When you get a shoelace and a garrote, that is a measured way. That's you thought about how you're going to do it. And you did it.
Moving on. Would you use media outlets to proclaim your innocence to your own child's murder?
No. I don't trust the media. They'd say, I'd be like, I didn't kill her at all. And they'd be like, I killed her. They'd take that one section where I said I killed her. I didn't kill her at all. And they'd be like, and then cut out and kill her.
Why would I have to? I have a podcast.
From their perspective, I would. They were wealthy, well-known in the community. The first thing I want to do is make a statement about it.
Incredible. The Ramseys never learned not to do that.
A week after JonBenet's murder and subsequent funeral service, John and Patsy hire a media coach and go on national TV to ask the public for help in capturing the killer of their beloved tiny beauty queen. Patsy is clearly being coached by John when she struggles to remember what is believed to be rehearsed for the cameras. Patsy stumbles over her words and begins to pageant cry, which is worse than crocodile tears because crocs can actually cry. You can then clearly see John leans towards her and whispers, "Keep your babies close to you." And Patsy says the words aloud. There were no visible tears in either parent's eyes.
Patsy should have eased up on the pills and liquor before this interview. Yikes.
4 months after their 15 minutes of fame, the Ramsey couple finally agreed to be interviewed separately by investigators. In this interview, Patsy messed up and says she changed into pajamas Christmas night when they returned home, then stated she put the same clothes back on the next day before finding the note. This could mean that Patsy actually just stayed up all night, and that is why she was wearing the same outfit. Both John and Patsy have the exact same story, leading to suspicion that it was rehearsed once again. Also, Patsy is very detailed in her recollection of the events leading up to the discovery of JonBenet's body.
Does that remind you of anything?
Forensic handwriting analysis of the ransom note had been completed prior to questioning from handwriting samples provided by both John and Patsy. However, when investigators asked Patsy to write $118,000 numerically, she wrote out the words $118,000 and played dumb in order to not be forced to rewrite it. A diversion tactic from Patsy, perhaps? Or just another misconstrued detail to this awfully tragic case? The ransom note was 3 pages long, oddly precise with the instructions, and handwritten in black magic marker ink, which forensics matched to a pen that was located in the Ramsey home. The parchment used was also found to belong to the Ramseys. John was ruled out as the author of the note. However, there were over 200 similarities between Patsy's writing and the ransom note. The first page appeared to be written slowly and meticulously, where the second and third pages appeared to be written more fluently and naturally. Handwriting experts say that this could be an attempt to disguise the handwriting. Patsy's A, E, B, and Q's were the biggest giveaways. Patsy's lowercase q's resemble 8s.
She slurs worse than I do during this investigation. Again, easy on the sauce, dearie.
Was she seriously fucked up during that interview? Because that's hilarious. Like, can you tell she's?
But to me, if she's wasted, that is a mourning mother, not somebody who is trying to learn how to lie.
Oh, it's not the father saying you need to be a little less lucid for this shit?
Christy, can you go back over what letters were the dead giveaways?
Her A's, E's, B's, and Q's.
No, it's about the F. That look, I mean, if you look, I'm urging the listeners to look up this note and look at that F. But every single F is exactly the same. It all looks like an uppercase F, which is, I mean, it's an instinctive way of writing it, and it doesn't look like it's purposeful. And
Well, Rick, you can call Gina Wood with the Colorado Police Department and ask her about it. She's the one who analyzed the note.
Yeah, I'll talk to her.
Her outfit. The thing that stands out to me the most there is that, first of all, she gets up Boxing Day. So this is the day after Christmas. This is like the day where you spent the last like at least 2 days fully enthralled in social commitments and stuff. It's like a day off, a day to chill. And she gets up not only at 5 o'clock in the morning where she found the note, that's like fucking really early, but she gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning and she puts on clothes. And not only just clothes, but she puts on party clothes because they had just gotten home from a
Christmas
party.
morning for sure.
Yeah, so it's not like it's just trackies and a jumper. It's literally like she would have been wearing a nice, you know, in the late 90s, probably like a fancy pantsuit or something. So
yeah, if she'd gotten dressed at that time in the first place, okay, fine. She is, you know, obviously very vain and stuff. I buy that she gets up in the morning and does her makeup and probably showers every day and puts herself into a fresh outfit before she even descends the grand staircase. But on Boxing Day, like, why aren't you just in your pajamas? Why are you up at 5 o'clock in the morning? There's just so much. That's super sus. That's really
weird.
sus.
Further question. How much would you offer as a reward to catch the person or persons who murdered your child?
To answer your question, so the first thing that I will say is, knowing how much they make, there's no amount of money. $118,000 is nothing. Like, I'd be like, all right, you want $500,000? Take it, whatever.
Do you have $250,000?
Because that's a really good thing to tell my daughter's friends. If you could give that much money away, that
I'm assuming that he does.
I tell him I'd shout them out on our social media. I'll shout you out on social if you give me some hints. That's what I give.
For me, for information on my son's killers, not a fucking dime. Because again, he's already gone. I don't give a shit who did it. I don't give a shit about anything at this point. My kid's gone. Literally nothing. A human will probably never speak to me again.
Super. Somewhat reasonable responses.
Sometime in May 1997, John and Patsy appeared on camera once again. Only this time, both were much more composed and prepared to answer all questions. In this interview, Patsy held up a sheet of paper with a photo of one of JonBenet's kindergarten photos, along with an offering of $100,000 for, quote, information that leads to the capture and conviction of the killer of their child, end quote. Again, a pretty precise way to explain something like that, right? Police decided to counteract with their own press conference, explaining to the public that the Ramseys remain as suspects in their daughter's murder. This was a tactic in hopes that it would pressure the Ramseys to confess. However, this did not work, and John and Patsy never broke character.
I don't think this was character. I think this is just kind of who they are, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's their lawyers just super guiding them. Like these lawyers know not to say a fucking word, especially if they're guilty. Shut the fuck up. Do not say a word.
Are you okay over there, Rick? You don't look like you're doing so hot.
I am holding in. I am holding in something that I want to share so badly.
Oh God, he's got intellectual blue balls.
I feel.
Yeah.
I feel like it's too soon to like crack it open, but I have like
premature. In fact,
I'll explain it when I get to it. I don't want to get too far ahead.
Next question. How would you expect a murder investigation of a 6-year-old child beauty pageant winner to end?
With like a teddy bear and some fucking lollipops and a high five? I don't fucking know how to answer that question.
Not with a fizzle, but with a bang.
Oh my God. The old Kurt Cobain theory. It's better to burn out than to fade away.
It's all terrible. Quite an abysmal show.
Several months after the murder of the child beauty pageant winner, a man named Lou Smith decided to come barreling out of retirement to exhaustively investigate the case. Lou's 30-year law enforcement career consisted of a 100% conviction rate of over 200 arrests. Like, he was pretty good at his job. Lou discovered a broken window near where JonBenet's body was found. John told police he had broken it a while ago and just never repaired it.
That's how you get intruders.
That's how you get ants.
That's lollipops and gum wrappers.
No, floor level windows that are broken. That's how you get ants.
It was originally thought by police that an adult body wouldn't be able to fit through this broken window, but Lou climbs right through it. Alas, providing news sources and the viewers with the intruder theory. It was noted in the initial search that cobwebs and leaves in the windowsill and on the gate leading to the window were undisturbed. This led to extreme controversy on the conflicting theories on whether someone in the family or an intruder had killed JonBenet Ramsey.
I got a question. This was December. Wouldn't they know if there were footprints leading to a side window?
If there was fresh snow, it was covered up. And if there wasn't snow, then the ground is so frozen solid that there's no footprint.
Lou came out of fucking retirement for this. Okay. Lou had 100% arrest rate. Okay. Lou came out of retirement for this shit. Okay. Lou was like, all right, I guess I'll get up and I'll solve this one. Okay. He went there. The first thing he looked for was fucking footsteps. Okay. If Lou tells us that there's no footsteps or there was footsteps, I'm going with Lou. 30 years experience working in Colorado.
This was like
100%.
4 months later, he came out of retirement.
Yeah, he's fucking Lou though. Lou doesn't need. Lou just tasted the fucking sand around where the window was. Did a little of that, and he was good to go. He didn't need any of this.
Yeah.
4 months means nothing to Lou. Lou could do that 30 years from now, and he would know there's no footprints.
Okay, all right. I just looked at the crime scene photos. There was snow piles on either side of the driveway, but no standing snow. Green Christmas is just unholy.
No, it's got to be hot. You got to be outside in the pool.
No. And you know what else is fucked? Australians go to the beach and eat fish and chips. That'd be like us sitting in a field of cows and eating a steak.
Full stop.
And that concludes part 1 of our Little Miss Unethical pageant. Thank you, contestants, for joining us today. You all did a wonderful job. The winner of this year's Little Miss Unethical pageant goes to Richard Stoodle.
Me.
For absolutely no good reason.
I'm the prettiest one.
Congratulations, Mr. Stoodle.
I'm finally the prettiest one somewhere. I feel so.
Join us live on Facebook this Saturday to help solve the mystery of who the elf killed JonBenet on Christmas Day.
You guys heard the lady. Join us on Facebook Live this Saturday for our first live episode. Just type in Unethical Podcast into your search bar to find our group. To come and join us and leave your comments and contribute to the conversation. We are so excited to talk to you guys live and to hear your opinions. We cannot wait, and we hope that you'll join us.
Shimmy, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yeah. Baby, I got your money. Hey, dirty.